Hello, everybody. This is Jason. I'm going to attempt to try to show some of my listeners who really haven't had any jazz or theory training how to get outside and think like a jazz player. We have been so conditioned by the number system, and gospel is the main culprit of this. Because you're in C or because you're in A flat, your runs are A flat bass. I don't care how fancy the runs are. They may dip in and out of an accidental note that's out of the key, but basically you're still playing from the standpoint of the key that you're in. Let me give you an example. If we're in C and we just do a 1, 6, 2, 5, and let's say you're a beginner and your runs are like, you're just trying to give something to cover the sound. And then, you hear another cat, they may run up and down the keyboard. And you're like, oh, that's a little more fancier. When I hear the contrast and the two ways I just played that basically shows you like a second-year gospel player and then a 12-year gospel player. He may do runs that's a little bit more fancier. And to me, I'm looking like both of you are doing the same thing, just on different levels. It's all coming from the standpoint of C. And then when you hear these jazz cats play, you're like, man, the runs sound so exotic and different. What are they doing? And a lot of the times, the runs have nothing to do with the key. The more you begin to play jazz, you have to be key-minded. And I don't mean if the song is in C, you need to be thinking C. You need to be thinking multiple keys at once. Let me give you an example. If you hear me play E blues, and I'm going to play it with all notes so you hear it. You hear that deep minor sound. If somebody's preaching in E minor, you hear that deep minor sound. It sounds minor because my run is minor and the bass is minor. I'm going to take that same scale and use it to improvise over this 1, 6, 2, 5. See how it sounded differently? Listen to it over minor. Listen to it over C. Why does that work? All right, if you know your theory, and let's look at it. And remember, this is basic improvisation. It's not even any type of intermediate. Because the way the chords present themselves according to the key, if you play the chord and you use what we call tertian harmony or thirds, every other note, and you now move up to each next note in the scale, the 2 chord is minor, 3 chord is minor, 4 chord is major, 5 chord is major and dominant, 6 chord is minor, all right? And the 7 chord is half diminished, which is basically a minor 7 flat 5. That would be the B minor 7. That's minor 7 flat 5. So what you learn is every key naturally has 3 chords in it that are minor based. And because of that, the blues scale that you're used to backing up a preacher with, you're used to playing E minor with E. But now, because E blues brings the presence of minor, and it's also a minor chord in the key of C, you can use that scale. So now let's say I run E. See why I just used that? But over C. Now, what if I use it on the other minor chords that are in C? There's C minor, there's D minor, there's E minor, and then there's A minor. So now I'm going to alternate between the minor on the 3 and the minor on the 6. Now, imagine you're backing the preacher up in A minor. Listen to the E again. They sound totally different. A minor. But over the progression, listen to them. A minor, E. Now, what if you mix that up with your runs that you know from C? And I'm just trying to make the run simple. And I'm making a few mistakes here, but what I'm doing is trying to prove a point. It's not about just making and guessing. I'm using two different places of harmony to show you how to get around playing the same old solo. For instance, the song Kurt Franklin did, and no idea came to me. I just wanna be happy. Dun, dun, dun. Then what was that chord? It was a C13. But if I keep on doing the things that keep on B13, no one else I can bring. If I wanna be happy. Dun, 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 Now watch this last chord. That last chord was a B flat 7. It's a 5 chord in E flat. But because they used it there in C, for that moment, I played E flat. Just wanna be happy. It sounded exotic because instead of trying to play that B flat 5 chord using a motif from C, I'm now knowing that in the key of E flat, B flat is the 5 chord. So I borrowed another key to improvise over this chord. So I used the 5th note of E flat. Now, if you really want to get crazy, while you're playing this chord in C, I can now use the minor chord of E flat, which is C. See what I just did? The same way I went to C a while ago and I played a minor chord either off of the 3 or the 6. I'm analyzing this chord that's in C, but using the key of E flat to find my improv scale. I'm improvising off of the 6 of E flat, which is a minor. So I'm still playing a version of E flat over this chord in C. Now, what if I use the 3rd of E flat? It's the G. It's just going to make it sound more exotic. Just want to be happy. Now, when I go to C7, C7 is a 5 chord in F. So I can use that. Use the scale of F. Just want to be happy. But if I... See what I just used? 1, 4, 6 of F over C7, because the moment you change a chord's function, you've changed the key. If I play that as a major chord, C is acting as either a 1 or it's acting as a 4 in G. See how I just sounded by changing the harmony? But once C becomes a 7 chord, it's now the 5 of F. That's why when I tell people, you're doing many key changes even inside of songs where you think the key isn't changing. When you go to God's been so good to me. The 5 on the minor chord, you change the 5 chord to a minor, and then now the 1 becomes a 7, and now your 4 is like the new 1. It's like you did a 2-5-1 on your 5-1 and your 4 chord, and you change the key really inside of the song. And that's what happens is when you start doing a lot of improvisation. Just like